Ireland. A place where the line between joy and sorrow is often blurred, a fine mist you can walk right through. You see it in the music, you taste it in the stout, and you feel it most profoundly when life ends. The Irish wake is something else altogether. It's not just a funeral. It's not a quiet, solemn affair whispered in hushed tones. It's a gathering, a party, a final send-off that's as much about the life lived as the life lost. It's raw, it's real, and it's deeply, unshakably human. To understand Ireland, you have to understand how they say goodbye. It's a lesson in community, in resilience, and in the defiant celebration of a soul. This isn't some morbid fascination. It's a cultural cornerstone. The wake is where the sacred and the profane meet for a pint. It's where a community wraps its arms around a grieving family, not with platitudes, but with presence. With sandwiches and stories. With a shared bottle and a shared tear. The tradition stretches back into the mists of Celtic history, long before the church laid down its rules. It's a folk ritual, passed down through generations, adapting and changing but never losing its core. It's a testament to the Irish belief that death is not an end but a transition, and a transition is always worth marking with a bit of noise. You can learn more about a people from how they mourn than from how they celebrate a victory. The Irish wake is a masterclass in this. It's a social contract. When your time comes, we'll show up. We'll sit with you, we'll talk about you, we'll laugh at the stupid things you did, and raise a glass to the good times. And when our time comes, you'll do the same. It's a beautiful, chaotic, and necessary piece of the Irish puzzle. It's the final story told in a nation of storytellers, a loud, loving, and sometimes drunken declaration that a life, no matter how long or short, mattered. It mattered to us. So let's pull up a chair. Let's get into the heart of it. Forget what you think you know about funerals. We're heading into the house where the kettle is always on, the door is never locked, and the stories flow as freely as the whiskey. This is the Irish wake. It's a place of deep sadness, yes, but it's also a place of incredible life. It's where you'll find the very soul of this island, sitting in a crowded room telling one last joke for the road. It's a tradition that refuses to die, and for good reason. It's the most honest goodbye you'll ever witness. Long before the first stone was laid for a Christian church in Ireland, the people here had their own ways. Death was a powerful, mysterious thing, and they met it head-on. The ancient Celts believed the soul lingered for a time before moving on to the other world. The wake, or tour of in the old tongue, was a vigil. Its purpose was to guard the body, to keep watch over the soul on its journey, and to make sure malevolent spirits didn't snatch it away. It was a practical and spiritual duty, a final act of protection for one of their own. This wasn't just a gathering, it was a shield wall of the living around the dead. The most powerful sound at these ancient wakes was the caoinid, or the keening. This was no simple weeping. It was a high, wailing, improvised song of sorrow performed by women known as mna caointe, or keening women. They were professionals in a way. They would recount the life, the deeds, and the genealogy of the deceased in a heart-wrenching lament. It was a performance, a ritual that guided the grief of the entire community. It was a sound that could cut through the thickest silence, a raw, primal expression of loss that connected everyone in the room to the gravity of the moment. It was the soundtrack to the soul's departure. The practice of laying out the body at home is central to this tradition. The house of the deceased became for a few days a public space, the corpse house as it was sometimes known. The body would be washed and dressed in its best clothes, often by the women of the family. Clay pipes filled with tobacco would be laid out on a tray beside the deceased, a small offering for the visitors who came to pay their respects. This simple act of sharing tobacco was a gesture of hospitality, a way of saying, even in our grief, you are welcome here. It grounded the supernatural in the everyday. These weren't solemn, silent affairs either. The old wakes were known for games, music, and even matchmaking. It sounds strange to modern ears, but it was all part of the same idea. Life must go on. The presence of the living, with all their noise and energy, was a defiant statement against the silence of death. It was a way of reaffirming the community's vitality in the face of loss. These traditions, the keening, the pipes, the gathering in the home, they all laid the foundation for the wake as we know it today. They are the deep, ancient roots from which this uniquely Irish custom grows. The call comes. Someone in the parish has passed. The news travels not by text, but by word of mouth, a ripple spreading through the community. The first most important act is to bring the person home. Whether they passed in a hospital or elsewhere, the family's instinct is to bring them back to their own house, to their own bed, for one last time. This is crucial. The home is where their life was lived, and it's where the final chapter of their story on this earth will be told. The front room, the good room that was saved for special occasions, is cleared out to make space. This is the most special and most somber of occasions. The body is laid out, usually in an open coffin. The person is dressed in their Sunday best, maybe a favorite suit or a dress they loved. Their hands might be holding a rosary. The room is kept cool, the curtains are drawn, but a soft light is kept on. Candles are lit, casting a warm, flickering glow. It's a scene of immense respect and quiet dignity. It's about creating a space where people can face the reality of death, not hide from it. Seeing the person at peace in their own home, surrounded by familiar things, strips away the cold, clinical feel of a funeral parlor. It makes the goodbye personal, intimate. The house is prepared for an influx of visitors. The family knows they won't be alone for long. The kettle is put on the stove and it will stay hot for the next 3 days. Neighbors start arriving, not empty-handed. They bring trays of sandwiches, cakes, apple tarts, and flasks of tea. The kitchen table quickly overflows with food. This isn't just about feeding people, it's a practical act of support. It frees the grieving family from the burden of daily chores. It's the community saying, "We'll take care of this, you just be with your loved one." It's a silent, powerful language of care. The door is left unlocked, sometimes even ajar. It's an open invitation. There are no visiting hours here. People will come and go at all hours of the day and night. For the next 2 or 3 days, the house ceases to be a private home and becomes a public space for mourning. The family, in the midst of their deepest grief, become hosts. It's an incredible burden, but also an incredible comfort. They are not isolated in their sorrow. The constant flow of people, the low hum of conversation, the shared cups of tea, it all creates a buffer against the crushing silence that loss can bring. The setup is complete. The vigil has begun. The first visitors arrive hesitantly. They step through the open door, their faces a mixture of sympathy and respect. There's a quiet protocol to it all. You find a member of the immediate family, you shake their hand, you offer a simple, heartfelt phrase, "I'm sorry for your trouble." That's it. There's no need for grand speeches or awkward platitudes. The power of the phrase is in its simplicity and its sincerity. It's a shared acknowledgement of the pain, a quiet promise of solidarity. It's the key that unlocks the room, allowing you to enter the space of grief with respect. Once condolences are offered, you make your way to the open coffin. This is the heart of the matter. You stand for a moment in silence, perhaps say a quiet prayer, and you look upon the face of the person who is gone. It's a direct, unflinching confrontation with mortality. It's not hidden away. It's right there, in the center of the room. This act of paying respects is a final, personal goodbye. You're not just saying farewell to a name, you're saying it to their face, in their home. It's a powerful, grounding moment that makes the loss real, and allows the process of grieving to truly begin. After paying respects, you retreat from the immediate circle of grief around the coffin and find a place in the kitchen or another room. This is where the atmosphere begins to shift. Here, the low hum of conversation grows a little louder. People who haven't seen each other in months or even years reconnect. They catch up on news, talk about the farm, the weather, the football. It might seem disrespectful, but it's the exact opposite. It's the sound of life continuing, of the community fabric reweaving itself in the face of a tear. It's a necessary release from the intense sorrow of the front room. The house fills up. It becomes a cross-section of the entire community. The old farmer from down the road, the young woman who moved to the city, the shopkeeper, the postman. They all come. They come out of respect for the deceased, but also out of duty to the living. Their presence is a physical manifestation of support. The family sees the crowd and they know they are not alone. They are being held up by the sheer number of people who cared enough to show up. This gathering is the wake's most vital function. It transforms a private sorrow into a shared communal experience. Food and drink, the fuel of remembrance. You know, the kitchen in a wake house is really the engine room. It just never stops. While the front room is meant for quiet reflection, the kitchen, well, it's all about sustenance, both physical and emotional. The table, it's a landscape of donated food. There are plates of ham sandwiches, cut into neat little triangles, crusts off, of course. Egg and onion, a classic, you know? Then you've got big, flowery apple tarts and dense dark fruit cakes. It's simple, honest food. It's not about culinary flair, it's about providing comfort. This is the food of neighbors, the taste of community care. Eating a sandwich made by a friend, it's like a small act of communion, a way of grounding yourself when your world feels like it's spinning off its axis. The tea, well, it flows in rivers. The kettle is boiled and reboiled, 100 times a day. Will you have a cup of tea? That's the unspoken question that really means, how are you holding up? Sit down for a minute. It's a ritual, a small moment of normality in a profoundly abnormal time. The clinking of cups, the pouring of milk, the stirring of sugar, these are the familiar sounds that anchor the house. For the family, making tea for a visitor is a way to do something, to have a purpose when they feel utterly helpless. It's a small, repetitive task that keeps them moving, keeps them connected to the living. As evening draws in, the drinks get a little stronger. A bottle of whiskey appears on the table, usually Powers or Jameson. A crate of stout might be brought in and left by the back door. But hey, this isn't about getting hammered. It's a social lubricant, a way to loosen tongues and help the stories to flow. A small glass of whiskey is offered to visitors who've traveled a long way, or to those who are staying late into the night. It's a gesture of hospitality, a traditional part of the send-off. Sharing a drink is sharing a moment, a memory. It warms the body and, for a little while, can dull the sharpest edges of grief. The food and drink, they serve a vital purpose. They keep the vigil going. A wake can last for 2 or 3 days and nights, and people need to be sustained. It's a marathon of mourning, not a sprint. The constant availability of food and drink ensures that the house remains full, that the family is never left alone. It's a practical system of support that has evolved over centuries. It says, we are here with you for the long haul. We will sit with you. We will talk with you. We will eat and drink with you until it's time to walk that final road. Once the initial waves of sorrow have been navigated, something beautiful begins to happen. The stories start. Someone, perhaps standing in the kitchen with a cup of tea, will say, "Do you remember the time he—" And just like that, a forgotten memory is brought back to life. The stories are rarely about grand achievements. They're about the small, funny human moments, the time he tried to fix the tractor and made it worse, the infamous fishing trip where the only thing caught was a cold, the way she used to laugh until she cried. Each story is a thread, and together, they start to weave a rich tapestry of the person's life. This is the heart of the celebration. The wake becomes a living eulogy, told not by one person from a pulpit but by the entire community. People move from sadness to a kind of joyful remembrance. Laughter starts to bubble up, soft at first, then louder. It's not disrespectful, it's the sound of love. To laugh at a funny story about the deceased is to confirm that their unique spirit, their humor, their personality is still present in the memories of those who loved them. It's a way of saying, this is who he was, this is what we'll miss, and wasn't it brilliant? As the night wears on, if the mood is right, someone might be coaxed into a song. It won't be a lively jig, not yet. It will be a slow air, a lament, a ballad full of sorrow and beauty, a song like The Parting Glass or a mournful piece in the Irish language. One voice, unaccompanied, will fill the house. A hush will fall over every room. The power of a single human voice singing a song of farewell is immense. It captures a depth of emotion that mere words cannot reach. It's a moment of shared, profound beauty that unites everyone in their grief and their love. The stories and songs do something vital. They resurrect the person, if only for a few nights. They are no longer just a body in a coffin. They are a character, a presence, a living memory. The wake is a process of transforming the physical person who is gone into a story that will endure. The community collectively gathers the pieces of a life and stitches them together into a narrative that can be passed on. This is how the dead continue to live among us in Ireland, not as ghosts, but as stories. And a good story, as everyone here knows, never truly dies. It's one of the great paradoxes of the Irish wake, the seamless flow between profound sadness and genuine laughter. You can be in the front room one minute, your heart heavy with the sight of the coffin and the quiet weeping of the family. The air is thick with sorrow. Then you step into the kitchen and you're met with a burst of laughter over a shared memory. It's not a contradiction. It's two sides of the same coin. The tears honor the loss and the laughter honors the life. One cannot exist without the other. This emotional duality is what makes the wake so powerful and so healthy. The humor is often directed at the deceased, a gentle ribbing, a reminder of their quirks and foibles. "He was a terrible man for telling lies about how big the fish were," someone might say with a grin. This isn't mockery, it's a form of deep affection, it's a way of remembering the person in their full, flawed human glory. To only speak of their virtues would be to paint an incomplete picture. The Irish way is to remember the whole person, the grumpy moods as well as the kind gestures, the stubbornness as well as the generosity. This honest portrayal is the highest form of respect. This mix of emotions is a release valve. Grieving is exhausting work, it's emotionally and physically draining. Constant, unrelenting solemnity would be unbearable for 3 days. The laughter, the stories, the sheer life buzzing in the other rooms provides a necessary respite. It allows people to step away from the intensity of their grief for a moment, to breathe, to connect with others, and to remember that life in all its absurdity and joy continues. It prevents the sorrow from becoming overwhelming and allows the family to endure the long vigil. Ultimately, the laughter is a defiant act. It's a statement made in the face of death's finality. It says, you can take the body, but you can't take the spirit. You can't take the memories. You can't take the love and the joy this person brought into our lives. By celebrating the life, the community reaffirms its own resilience. The wake becomes not just a mourning of a death, but a powerful, life-affirming ritual. It's a celebration of a unique soul, and a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit to find light even in the darkest of times. The morning of the funeral marks the end of the wake. The mood in the house changes, the storytelling quiets down, and a solemn stillness takes its place. The time has come for the final, physical act of separation. The lid of the coffin is closed. This is often the most difficult moment for the family, the final time they will see their loved one's face. It's a moment of raw, unvarnished pain. The house, which has been a public space for days, now feels intensely private again, filled with the family's singular grief. The long vigil is over. The journey to the church begins. The removal of the coffin from the house is a ritual dense with meaning. It is carried out by close family and friends, sons, brothers, nephews, neighbors. It is never carried head first. The deceased is said to be taking one last look at their home. As the coffin passes through the doorway, it might be paused and gently bumped against the doorframe, a final physical farewell to the house. Outside, the entire community is waiting. They line the road, standing in silent respect. Men remove their caps. It's a powerful, silent tribute from the people the deceased lived amongst. The journey to the church and then to the graveyard is slow. In rural Ireland, the hearse is often followed by a long procession of cars, and people walk the final stretch behind the coffin. This is the funeral walk, a slow, communal march to the final resting place. It's a shared burden. The weight of the coffin is distributed among many shoulders, just as the weight of the grief is shared by the community. Walking that last mile together is a profound act of solidarity, a final escort for a neighbor on their last journey. At the graveside, after the final prayers are said, comes the last act of community care, the filling of the grave. Family and neighbors take turns with the shovel, each throwing a bit of earth onto the coffin. It's a harsh final sound, but it's an important one. It's an act of closure, of taking responsibility for laying their own to rest. It's not left to strangers. It's the last thing they can do for the person they've lost. From the first cup of tea at the wake to the last shovel full of earth, the community has been there, seeing the journey through to its very end. So, what is the Irish wake in the 21st century? Is it a relic of a bygone era? No, it has changed, of course. Fewer wakes are held in the home for the full 3 days. The funeral parlor has become a more common, practical option for the initial laying out. But the spirit of the wake, its essential DNA, is as strong as ever. The core elements, the gathering of the community, the storytelling, the sharing of food and drink, the laughter through the tears, they all remain. The location may change, but the purpose does not. The need for community in the face of death is a timeless human truth. The wake is a reflection of the Irish character. It's a refusal to let death have the last word. It's a recognition that life is messy, complicated, sad, and hilarious, often all at the same time. The wake embraces that complexity. It doesn't shy away from the pain, but it doesn't let the pain eclipse the joy of a life lived. It's an intensely practical and deeply spiritual tradition that serves a vital psychological function. It guides people through the first, most difficult days of grief, not by isolating them, but by surrounding them with life. In a world that is increasingly disconnected, where communities can feel fractured, the Irish wake is a powerful reminder of the importance of showing up. of being physically present for one another. It's a tradition that reinforces the bonds of family, friendship, and neighborhood. It's a social contract renewed with every passing that says we are all in this together. We will support each other through the best of times and, more importantly, through the worst of times. It's a lesson in empathy, in how to mourn, and in how to help others mourn. The Irish wake endures because it works. It provides a space for raw grief, for joyful remembrance, and for the slow, painful, necessary process of saying goodbye. It turns a lonely sorrow into a shared story. It's more than just a tradition. It's a living, breathing part of the culture, the enduring heartbeat of a community that understands that the best way to honor the dead is to fiercely embrace the living. It's the final, raucous, loving party, a proper send-off. And there's no better way to go.